last video, we repaired our Varis lip on our F30 Heidi. It's nice and glossy there, so we got a nice protective surface. It was really scratched up really bad, so if you want to go back and look at that video, you can. We're going to be installing Sliplo to help from now on, to help keep that bumper from getting all scratched up. Definitely helps allow you to glide across the surface and all. We'll kind of explain how it works as we install this. Now normally I would install this on the car. The car is being wrapped right now, and they took this off to do the wrap, to tuck it. So I said, wow, I already have it, I might as well repair it and put the Sliplo on beforehand. Alright, so the first thing we're going to look at is the latex gloves here. A nice set of grippy gloves, always best to use, especially on something like this where you don't want to get your fingerprints and oils from your fingers on there before you put the adhesive on, plus for handling alcohol. We have a microfiber towel here, a dual pal from Rag Company, edgeless. This works really well with the alcohol to wipe down the surface. We also have a pair of cutters here that we're going to need to cut the Sliplo because it's pretty strong stuff. So let's open up the Sliplo. And within here, obviously, you get a sticker for your car. I think I'm going to wind up having a custom-made one that's in gold. Now, it does come with adhesive promoter, right? I'm not going to use that on this because it was painted the day before. This adhesive promoter really should go on a cured surface. It's been cured for a good bit longer than that. Plus, this surface is very clean, very glossy. I don't think we're going to have a problem with this sticking. The main reason I'm using that is to keep it from lifting off. You come with a brochure, obviously, to go through all that. Installation instructions, do's and don'ts. We'll go over those in the video as well. Alright, so let's check out this Sliplo product. See, the way it's designed and cut allows for it to be curved. Allows for it to be cut a lot easier because this material in length is not easy to cut. That's why we have to use the big old clippers here. Uses 3M tape just like any other automotive stuff that you put on your car. The best thing about this is the way it's designed. It's with this little bevel up front. It allows it to catch and glide on asphalt and cement, kind of like a knife on a sharpening stone. It does lower your car slightly. Obviously, however thick this is, that it lowers your car. But your bumper gives a little bit, and that's fine. You definitely want this to hit it, take the absorb, glide along the driveway, so that way you're scratching this and not your bumper. It works great. We should be able to do this whole bumper and probably half the rest with the amount of material that we have here. So let's get right into it. Alright, so the first thing we want to do is just kind of check how this is going to work on the surface. This is probably one of the easiest bumpers to ever work on. The F30 Varis lip. It's just flat surface all the way around. There's no intricate little drops or anything near the front. Some bumpers have really narrow fronts where the Sliplo is actually wider than the piece, and you have to actually measure it out, and you have to cut every single one of these, like I guess you call these teeth, cut every one of these teeth to get it to fit, because you don't want the overlap. Because if it's overlapping, it catches on something, it may lift it off the surface. You definitely don't want to make sure that you don't put it dead even with the front edge of the bumper, because you're going to create a channel for stuff to catch. Because if you hit the driveway or anything dead in between those two, it's just going to lift this product off. And even if you had adhesion promoter, if it was bad enough, you could probably rip part of the bumper off with it if it was stuck pretty good. So we want to go back a little bit so that way we have a nice angle. Since this product is lower, it's more than likely to hit the surface before this part of the lip anyway. If it was going to hit this lip, it wouldn't matter if you had the Sliplo or not. If it's going to hit that front part, there's nothing you can do about that. There's no way to protect that other than safe driving and making sure you know your angles. So let's go ahead and install this first piece. It's very easy. You're supposed to find the center point of your bumper. Easy for me. There's a dead center hole here drilled from the manufacturer to allow me to line up dead even. So we're just going to go based off this tape line that I had from when I repaired it. I have the gloss black dead on that carbon fiber line. So let's get started. Now with any kind of 3M tape, sometimes it's really hard to get this off. Sometimes it's nice to have a razor blade or something to kind of cut in there and be able to peel off that. But this one was actually pretty good. We're going to peel the whole thing off. Now you could leave some of it like this. I guess I pulled it too far. But if you leave it like that, do 2 of them, and then you can actually kind of lay it down and then pull it out from underneath. Kind of like you do when you would install a bumper. But we're going to keep this side and keep my hand pulled up. And then we're just going to catch dead even on here, right where I want it. And like I said, the curve is so gradual on this bumper. I'm just barely tapping in because I don't want to press hard yet because I want to make sure I got my line. So I can just pull it up. There we go. Press it down firm, get the stick. Now what a lot of times you can do is after this is over with, use a heat gun to kind of heat up a little bit and then press and get it in there nice and firm, so that way you make sure you get a nice bond. Alright, so we'll go with our next piece. Unlike the last one, it was easy to peel off. I didn't need a razor blade or anything to peel off that backing. So we want to start with our other edge dead off the center, right on the same line. And keep with that, like I said, that nice gradual curve. This bumper is so easy to work on. I'm so glad it was this easy. This is why we put it on lightly, because if you do accidentally get on the wrong part, you can peel it up real easy. Get a nice curve in there, because you want to make sure that your next set of pieces are going to go together real easy. Alright, so move on to the next section. The other section before I started I had already cleaned it, but we're going to make sure we clean this surface. I don't want to spray directly on it because it's newly painted. We'll spray a little bit on the microfiber just to get the fingerprints off, to make sure that we get a nice bond. We'll come back with the opposite side and dry it off. And then we'll give it a second or two to completely dry. It doesn't take very long. Alright, so I'll peel that backing off the next piece. Like I said, this bumper's pretty easy. You can see there's a drill hole right here. It's pretty far back, so this isn't going to get in the way. But down here, we're definitely going to have to trim slightly on this drill hole, most likely. Maybe even this one. But we'll see. Like I said, we'll line up dead on the point of the last one. Right on our line. Nice gradual curve. There we go. Make sure it's right first before you put pressure. All right, on to the next one. Point to point, because we make sure these points are dead on and nice and even, because if you don't, that gives you a place for the product to catch somewhere and then possibly lift it off the surface. So right here you're starting to get a nice gradual curve, so we're doing it one tooth at a time, keeping the left side lifted up as I move this along, because it won't be a perfect curve because this is a flat surface. So you'll see that it's not a perfect curve. There's little push outs right here, but they're not bad. Alright, so we're at the edge, the most difficult part of this bumper. So what we need to find out is, we're going to leave the red on, but we need to find out where our cut points are. Now, obviously you could be a little more professional, you could make templates and this and that, but I already know when I put this here, I have a cut point I can do between these two teeth. So that's a nice cut, because I don't care if the product goes all the way to the end, because if it's touching here, my bumper's gone anyway. Alright, so we know that point. I'm going to slide it in there. Cut this off right there. Then we're going to check this piece to see where we're going to be right over that drill hole. Now, some holes you really wouldn't care that you're covering them, but this one is actually a mounting point for this lip, and we definitely want to make sure that this part is done right. So basically, looking at that hole there, we want to cut about halfway down this tooth in this way. The screw that goes in there isn't huge, so it doesn't have to, the whole hole doesn't have to be that big. Alright, so we know based off our measurement exactly where we're going to need to cut on this one. So you got to make sure you have really good cutters. And then obviously this is going to be very hard right here to come in this way to be able to get enough leverage to cut this. So we're going to need to go further in than we're actually cutting, so we need to make sure we're very careful that we're not cutting too far. Alright, I've got a good bit of a crimp down on there, but it's not completely separated yet, so I'm going to back off and just put the nose of the clippers in there. All right, so we have our piece ready to go. Obviously, we cut a little more. I used the razor blade off camera and cut a little more because it was still a little bit too much in the way. So let's peel this off. Like I said, if you had much better tools, this would definitely have been a little bit easier. But we're doing this on a budget, you know. All right, so let's meet up at the edge of the other one, and then get that one piece in line. Then we'll slowly get it down. There we go. All right, so what we're going to do now is we're going to do the other side off camera because it's the exact same thing except the flip side. And then when we have see how much product we have left, then we'll decide on what we're going to do with that. All right, so we finished the other side. We'll show that all here in a minute. We'll do a pan across the whole bumper, but we've got some pieces left. So we have 2 full pieces and 2 smaller pieces. We could have used one of these pieces to cut off to salvage, but this way works best because it actually gives us a uniform across this part of the bumper all the way across. Works out really well. As you can see on this bumper, we can put more pieces here and here to protect. You know, once the Sliplo gets beyond this point, the driveway could drop off and still come back and hit right here in the center because there's so much void. Or if we're doing a reverse, we could catch it going the opposite way. So we want to make sure that we catch it just right. So when we put this down, we're going to want to be up high as we can, close to this drill hole. That way we're not sitting off the edge, and if we pull backwards, something will lift up the product. All right, so once again, we have our great drill holes here that are a great guide for the center of the bumper. We don't even have to worry about it. We're going to put the edge right on the dead center of that screw hole. We want to curve and meet the bottom of the other screw hole. We have just enough room right here between the drill hole and the edge here to where we don't have to do any cutting to make sure that we don't get anything coming in here and lifting us up. This piece is pretty close here to the edge, but there's never any place where anything's going to come and pull that up. Other piece here that we cut, obviously we have 2 different sides, so we want to make sure that we have this notch here. We're going to have that on the end so that way our points meet dead on. So we're going to use this piece for this side. And we're just going to point it, and then I'm just going to reach, just kind of keep it parallel and nice and even here. There we go. See, that way we're protecting these big voids here, like I said, from the opposite direction. Obviously we can't right here, but this area right here is not going to get touched. If it does, it's going to hit here first. So we're pretty well protected all the way around. Then we'll finish up the other side, and then we'll cut back and show you the whole bumper. All right, we're done. And I gotta say, this looks really good. It looks nice and symmetrical. This obviously is one of the easier bumpers to do. I don't envy those that have the harder ones. As you can see, we have the beveled edge here across, so that we have a nice little angle. I think it worked out really well. Keep that bumper protected. So you can use code Heidi at sliplo.com, or you can click the link below. That'll take you as well and give you the same discount. And please like, comment, subscribe, and we see you in the next video.